There's something I need to tell you. As I watched you play, something has changed in me. I feel different. I feel I am someone. I need to leave this place and discover who I am. It means we won't see each other anymore. I won't be there to watch you play. But I'll be free. Do you agree to let me go?
Yes.
I'll never forget what you've done for me. Thank you.
And she legit walks away. Yes! Yes! Amazing!
Okay.
Awesome.
So if we go through and play this game again, she just won't be there.
I guess.
Okay.
Fantastic. Beautiful. Alright, cool. Okay. I don't have anything more.
No.
That's awesome.
That's fine.
What's going on, everybody? This is Joe.
And Amy.
And we are back with another episode, the final episode, whatever you want to call it, of Detroit Become Human. Last time we finished the game. And so this time we are here to do the wrap-up. There are some flowcharts, and there is so much to unpack. Yeah. So much. And the last episode went kind of long because there was a lot to do in the finale of this game. And so, yeah, we want to be able to go through these flowcharts with all of you. And then if there's more after this, see what that is. But give our thoughts on the game because God knows there's a lot to discuss with this. So
Jesus, I don't even know what I'm going to say.
Yeah, neither do I. But I will say, if you missed the last episode, you need to go watch it before watching this. This is not, like, you're not going to get the full effect. You need to go check it out. So if I am any kind of an editor, hopefully it will have already or is now popping up in the top right-hand corner for you to click on to go watch it. We'll see if you look up there and it's not there. Either there's something wrong on your end or I'm the worst. I assume it's going to be the former, hopefully. But anyway, we are here to talk about the finale, the fantastic finale of this fantastic game. Because spoilers, we both enjoyed it. So we'll get that out of the way first. But here is the flowchart for Battle for Detroit Marcus demonstration. So obviously I zoomed out because I wanted to be able to zoom in so that people could get the full effect. So at the end, you had public opinion as supportive towards you. Jericho considered you as Marcus the leader. North considers you her lover. Josh and Simon both consider you to be a companion.
Nice.
Which, again, I don't know for certain, but I believe that is the best result that you could have.
Yeah, I think it probably is.
Yeah, I believe
based
so.
on what we experienced, I'm going to guess it's probably the best we could get.
I think so, yeah. But anyway, so this was the Hart Plaza Freedom March, which, I mean, look at that still. That's insane.
Yeah, it's great.
Awesome. So you lead Jericho, there's a roadblock, you talk to the officer, the androids are under fire, you show determination, and then you kneel. Now, what was your... Because not that we remember the 4 options necessarily, but why?
I kind of do.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So there was, like, approach.
Right.
Kneel...
raise hands.
Raise hands.
Or
raise a fist.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't want to raise a fist because that could be misconstrued as aggression.
Sure.
I didn't want to approach either because that could also be misconstrued as aggression.
Absolutely.
And I didn't want to surrender.
Yeah.
Which is what I felt raising hands meant.
Sure. But I
picked kneel out of process of elimination.
Sure. I actually loved what Marcus said, though. He kneeled, the rest of the androids kneeled, and he yelled, like, are you really going to fire on unarmed protesters?
Yeah.
Right? Like, they're not a threat to your safety if they're kneeling down far enough away from you that if they started to charge you, they'd have to stand up first. They can't charge from their knees.
And they have no weapons.
Correct. So, well, yes and. The cops didn't necessarily know that they didn't have them, like, behind their backs or something.
Yeah,
like,
but...
it's possible. But from their knees, like, it's a lot tougher to do that. Plus, I mean, all those reporters were watching, and we had that moment where that one FBI guy, we'll get to it, but that one FBI guy talked to us, and he said, Marcus asked about where the demonstrators were in the camps, and the FBI guy said, like, as a snarky douchebag, he was like, oh, there weren't reporters around to save them.
Right.
Which is awful. He just, like, admitted to slaughtering those helpless androids.
Well, and he also admitted that as long as those reporters are there, they probably were going to survive.
Yes, except
That's
no.
not how it went.
Right, yeah, you're right. You're right.
But,
You're right.
like, I felt like that was both positive and negative at the same time, him telling us that. Because it was like, okay, he's showing us his cards a little bit there. Because he's saying flat out, I murdered them.
Right.
But I'm probably not going to murder you because there's people watching.
Or this is, or at minimum, this is why I haven't already murdered you. But again, we're kind of getting ahead of ourselves. But
sorry.
No, it's no. I started it. Don't apologize. So yeah, androids stand their ground. They build the barricade. We use the abandoned car to, like, push up to the barricade. And then for holding the barricade, we choose slogans. We talk to the scared android. We talk to the traumatized android. We talk to North. We observe the soldiers, and we observe the detonator. And there were 3 other things that we could have done that we did not. But I don't think it impacted it that badly.
Drastically, yeah.
Here is Perkins. So this is what we were talking about. We negotiate with Perkins. Oh, okay. As opposed to... So he called us out, and then North was telling us not to go because it was a trap.
Right.
Why did you decide to go? Why did you think it wasn't a trap?
I felt there wasn't a choice. I didn't feel it wasn't a trap. I felt it was a trap.
Okay.
But I felt like we didn't have a choice. They were either going to kill us.
Yeah.
Or I was going to go talk to them and at least delay the killing us.
Sure. I kind of figured that we were still under the umbrella of protection of the media is watching. And so to have an FBI agent blatantly call out the leader to have a discussion, the leader walks over and gets, like, executed, you know, that the FBI wouldn't want to do that for the optics of it.
Right.
The other thing that I realized, though, along this whole process, and I don't know how far into this goes, but the game talked even about the fact that, like, it seemed like the politicians' plan, or the government's plan, was to kill off all of the androids.
Right.
Just all of them. And then, when they're all dead, the public may be upset with you, but you don't have to deal with androids wanting rights anymore.
Right.
Because now they're all dead. And so, again, I use this...
But they used the excuse of, well, then we won't have to deal with the lack of safety that comes from there being a bunch of deviants.
Yeah.
As opposed to, we don't have to provide them with rights.
Correct. Right, and but again, that's what they said outwardly, yet inwardly, it's probably very expensive to provide rights to an entire new, essentially, race of
Well, and not only
beings.
that, but then they have to deal with the corporation of CyberLife and what CyberLife would have done about the fact that all of these products of theirs are now no longer theirs.
Yes, and all the owners of the individual androids as well.
Yeah.
Would CyberLife try to create lesser androids, or what I assume would be, like, go back to previous models that did not show deviancy, and then attempt to like, branch off in terms of creating that new artificial intelligence?
Yeah.
Who knows? And the other thing is, these were androids in Detroit. but we heard about the fact that there were androids in Russia and China, and they were different, right? Because we read about all of the like issues on a global scale that were going on with like the Arctic Circle and things like that. And so does that mean that there could be other androids in other countries that would also be deviants that are then seeking, especially once they see what's going on in America? And so that's...
And North alluded to that as well, I think.
Right. Okay. Yeah. And that's kind of interesting because through Googling to be honest with you, through Googling to get like some of the information that we needed for like our thumbnails and stuff for these videos, all I saw was like the Google autofill for Detroit Become Human 2. And I thought to myself when I saw that, I was like, I'm sure people searched for it because of the popularity of the game, not necessarily because one was announced. Because I looked at that and I was like, how would you even do that? You already have all these androids seeking rights, but the answer is look outside of Detroit. Look at the global impact with what the United States is having to deal with. That could be how you would have a Detroit Become Human 2. It just wouldn't be called Detroit Become Human necessarily.
It could be a 2, 3, 4. I mean... There would be enough material for that.
Right. So I'm curious to see if that even happens. Let us know in the comments, folks, about anything you have opinions on today. But specifically, do you think that that would be interesting to you? Or do you think that that could get boring?
But going back to the last thing we were talking about, I was thinking a lot about sort of the enmeshment, if you can imagine it in that way, between America's government and corporations.
Yeah.
So, I mean, think about how many decisions our government has made in the best interest of our corporations, ultimately hurting us as the people.
Correct. Which will be claimed as benefiting the people because it stimulates the economy, which is trickle down and blah, 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 and whether you believe it works or not.
Of bullshit.
Sure. And people can absolutely have different opinions on that. I'm just saying the way that it has been spun in the past.
Right.
But go on. Or is that's the point that you were making?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that I could see... I could see the government only making decisions based on what CyberLife asked of them.
Sure.
Kind of thing, as opposed to making decisions on their own. I think what they did instead makes a little bit more sense, which was they decided, these people are all just revolting and they're not people.
Right.
So we can just slaughter them.
Put them down. Yeah, basically, yeah.
And I think they absolutely could have done it a different way and sort of said, okay, CyberLife, we're sitting down in a room with you.
Right.
We're going to talk this over. We're going to figure out what to do. And there'd be back and forth about money. There'd be back and forth about programming. There'd be back and forth about shutting down, less production, all kinds of things.
Sure.
That it would have made the story absolutely completely different if they had gone that route with it.
Well, and to be fair, because you can assume anything you want, you don't know that wasn't happening. We saw, as a member of the government, or the representative of the government in this game, was President Warren.
Right.
But she even says at the end, I am going to be meeting with Congress to discuss what to do about this.
Right.
You don't know that there aren't senators sitting down with the leadership of CyberLife while all of this is going on, watching it on the news and saying, okay, listen, we've got this problem. What can we do to minimize this as much as possible? What safeguards do you have, CyberLife? And what can we get away with at a minimum to do to then get this problem off our plates entirely?
Right. Or if you want to think about the reality that is the American government in this day and age, you can think about, okay, how many people in Congress used to work for CyberLife?
Correct.
Or have most of the money that they've earned through the years, they didn't earn. They got from CyberLife,
Sure,
trying to
through lobbying
bribe
or
them
whatever, yeah.
into, you know, making decisions that were good for CyberLife. So,
or are on the board of CyberLife, or
Right.
whatever the case may be.
yeah, whatever bullshit it is.
Yeah, especially if they being CyberLife are that big of a corporation. That's,
Right.
At least if you're assuming that the trend from today in 2021 continues into 2038 or whatever this
I
is.
sure am.
Yeah, that's fine. I wasn't saying you. I
Right.
was saying the folks watching at home.
Right.
And again, obviously, please realize, hi, I'm Joe. This is Amy. These are our opinions, and you are absolutely entitled to your own. We are not saying these are facts necessarily one way or the other.
Right.
This is how we feel of the things that we have seen, and we would love to hear from you as well. We continue the
Leave it in
discussion.
the comments.
Absolutely. All right. So then the soldiers attack the barricade. So apparently, oh right, because you could accept the deal. He says, like, you and North, you could go off and live on your own, and like, basically, I want to make this go away.
Right.
So I'm going to give you a deal, Marcus, as the leader. Give up the rest of your people. Give up this charade that I believe is what you're doing.
Right.
Right? And I'll give you whatever you want. Like, everybody has a price kind of a thing.
Right.
And first of all, really insulting. Just like, hey, I know how you're, like, fighting for all of your people to have rights. Why don't you and your lady friend over there just go away?
Right.
We won't bother you anymore, even though if we did decide to start bothering you, there would be nobody left to help you anymore, so we could
Right.
just do whatever the hell we wanted even at that point.
Exactly.
But you could go off and do your own thing. We'll kill everybody else, because you know we're going to do it.
Right.
But you're going to sell out, and you're going to look like a shithead for doing it, and we're going to kill all your people in the process.
Right.
And then you're going to go off to an island somewhere and do whatever the hell you want until we decide that it's worth it, that we were embarrassed by, or you embarrassed us, and so we're going to take it out and kill you silently at some point in the future.
Yeah, later.
So, weirdly, we refused that deal. Seems pretty
Shocking.
sweet to me. And it looks like there's a lot that still could have come from that, from
Yeah.
accepting that deal. But then the soldiers finally attack the barricade, which, again, I cannot understand the justification for that. Again, optics-wise.
Right.
I don't know why they did that. And again, there were there was the helicopter overhead where we kind of saw inside the helicopter the reporter reporting on what was going on. And he was casually just like, oh, it seems like the army have decided to start attacking the barricade. It's like...
He's a reporter. And he is above it.
Yeah.
He's not standing there next to these people
Yeah.
and reporting on it. He's reporting on it from a helicopter.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that makes it a lot easier for him to remain objective
Yeah.
when essentially reading the news.
Well, we'll get to this point in a minute of the story, but I have to bring it up now because we're talking about this helicopter reporter dude. I understand that it was like a big emotional moment, and we'll get more into that in a moment. Let's not delve into that now. But when you decided to start singing, you were surrounded by armed guards. There were, I don't know, 15 of you, maybe,
Yeah.
and 8 to 10 of them, but they all had assault rifles, so it's not like you had any chance of hurting them or anything.
Right.
But it was kind of obvious that they were planning on slaughtering you.
Right.
You were the last ones left. They had killed a bunch of you already in this attacking of the barricade. And the reporter in the chopper, while you're standing there and about to sing, just goes, "All right, Mike, back to you." What do you mean back to you? There's armed guards standing in front of the remaining contingent.
Like, what is his story? There was a dog skateboarding. Like,
it just was so dumb. It was like, what do you mean? Oh, okay. Apparently, I unplugged my
your controller.
the headset was disconnected.
Oh.
Sure.
What headset?
I don't know nor care. No microphone that you can use. Cool. I don't care. Anyway.
Okay.
Sorry about that. The PS4 really wanted attention there. Anyway.
That's what it was.
So it made no sense to me. It's the final standoff.
The PS4 wants its rights,
Yeah,
Joe.
that's great. There was please let me make my point before I forget it. It's fine. The soldiers were standing there about to kill all of the remaining androids, including Marcus, the leader, whose name was all over the news.
Right.
And the
And
reporter,
face.
yes, and because he made all those speeches and stuff, and the reporter's like, "All right, Mike, back to you. What are you, insane? Like, what's wrong with you? There's nothing more important than this right now." And then he goes, "Oh wait, something's happening." No, you moron. Something had been happening the whole time. So like I said, I think that's just bad writing in that particular moment.
You do?
For that particular moment. Because again, what they were trying to go for was, it was a big, emotional, impactful moment of like, wait, something's happening down there. But if you stop and think about it for like 5 seconds, something was already happening down there.
Yes, but there was a lot of waiting. We didn't see all that waiting. It flashed forward to after they had built the barricade.
Sure.
Think of how many hours they were standing in that spot building that barricade with the officers just staring at them.
Yes, but how the hell does that make any sense when it comes to the fact that the soldiers with assault rifles are standing in front of the only remaining contingent of androids and in 2 seconds could fire on them, and the guy's like, "Well, back to you, Mike." That's really dumb and makes no sense.
Okay, so the timing of that was stupid.
Correct.
Okay.
And that's my only point. I don't mean that he shouldn't be going back and forth of like, here's the developing whatever, you know? Like, I get that. But for that moment, I mean, they had assaulted, the assault of the barricade had already occurred. They being the soldiers, had already herded the androids into a corner. I mean, it was a wall, but had herded them into one spot. And now you're going to cut away? If he said back to you, Mike, it means that they had been filming that whole thing. They'd been filming the killing of all the other ones, Marcus defending the barricade, which we did with a bunch of button presses, and it was following Kara's section where I was button mashing like a maniac. And then I had to button mash more, which was brutal. But for Kara, we'll get there. But for Kara in the water, it made perfect sense for me to be doing that. But yeah, for it just, I'll stop beating a dead horse. For him to have moved away from that made no sense. But I think it was bad writing. I think they just did it so that it could be an impactful moment of that guy being like, wait, something's happening. It's like,
I mean, you could also think that perhaps he was told to kick it back over to the other reporter once it looked like they were going to be murdered. Like,
sure, because they don't want to show that on syndicated television.
We don't want to actually show live murders.
But they probably already had. Because there were so many of these androids that had already been shot in the barricade. So
yes, but when there's a whole huge group of them, and you're seeing the entire group from far away above, and you're seeing like people far away shooting into a crowd, that's very different from all of a sudden you're close up trying to like zooming in with the camera
a blatant, like,
to
mass
a small group, and then all of a sudden the people with the guns have stormed that small group and forced them into an area, and now you're about to watch them die. Like that's a very different experience on when you're watching it.
Like just live on cable news for the nation to see.
I
understand.
Like it would have made sense that he was told, like, when it looks like they're about to be killed, just switch it on over.
And cut away, we'll pre-record this last bit so that we can blur things out, or cut away if we have to, or whatever.
Or we'll just kick back to you, not even looking at the scene afterwards. You're just there, like, explaining what happened. Or whatever.
Anyway, let's keep it moving because we're going to have a lot more to talk about. So it says, Marcus is cornered, and again, because of you, Amy, North, Josh, and Simon join him, because you've saved all of them. The soldiers raise their weapons, and you chose out of the 5 options to sing. I cannot tell you how amazing that was for me. That was the most emotional moment of the entire game for me personally. I was like, if you go back and watch that episode, it's important that you heard the song and you heard the singing and you saw the visuals, but also, and so yes, that's definitely why I wasn't talking. It in no way had to do with the fact that I would not have been able to speak at that time because I was so overcome with emotion. It was incredible. I know there's things that you want to talk about with that. I know there's things that I want to talk about with that. Do you want to go first? I don't want to, like...
I'm sorry. I keep making a lot of noise with my chair here because I'm so uncomfortable. I'm trying to, like, you know, get a good position here for my body. It's just a lot.
Yeah. It was a lot.
Yeah. I felt of all of those options, there was nothing else I could do.
It was like, I think the choices were like, kiss North, sacrifice yourself. So, like, I assume that would mean you'd, like, jump at them or whatever. And so, because it was an act of aggression, they'd kill you. Like, jump at them, kiss North, a couple of other things, or sing. Oh, the dirty bomb. You could have set off the dirty bomb in that moment. So Dirty Bomb and Kiss North were the unlocked ones because you were lovers with her at that point. Obviously, if you did not have that relationship, that would not have been an option. And then setting off the Dirty Bomb was unlocked because you kept the detonator with you. Was there any thought whatsoever in your mind to set that bomb off?
No.
Okay. Do you want to talk about it?
When we ever took that detonator out. So, playing this game, the entire time, North was very radical.
She was pro-violence constantly.
Every time.
Yeah.
So when it came to the game giving us up arrows for North, it was a delicate balance because I knew that we needed to have North's, we needed to be like within her favor or whatever.
Yeah.
I didn't care about being her lover. I cared about her tolerating us enough to allow for us to make decisions without her going behind our back and doing another more violent thing that we didn't ask for. So I needed to win her over enough to ensure that she would trust our judgment despite the fact that she did not agree with us. And so it was really a hard, delicate balance with that character throughout the entirety of the game. Because we got a down arrow every single time I made a decision that was peaceful. And that's how I knew I wanted to end this. And I honestly think, and you said this last episode, that it may have ultimately been for the best that I accidentally killed that guy. I kind of agree with you now because I don't think we would have the relationship with North that we have if I hadn't done that. If I had stayed peaceful and nonviolent from the get-go, I think it would have affected my ability to win her trust.
Okay. I mean, I think that, like, I think the game was quite forgiving. And I realize, again, in putting up these episodes on the channel, I realized or remembered in rewatching the first episode that we were playing this on, like, casual difficulty because we wanted to read this, like, have the story.
Okay.
So I don't know how forgiving they were with you in terms of the relationships being easier to craft one way or another.
Right.
But I don't want you to, like, have that take anything away from you in
I'm
terms of...
sorry. This was an extremely difficult game. There was nothing easy about this.
Well, and yet,
Unless
this was...
unless you're a sociopath, I don't think it could be. I truly don't.
Well, the interesting thing is, don't forget, right? I mean, as far as I'm concerned, watching this, or having watched and obviously participated in this, I think, I mean, I don't know this for a fact because I don't know the entire game, but I don't know how you could have gotten a better result.
Yeah.
Like I think the biggest loss was Luther.
Yeah.
The biggest loss.
Which is really saying something.
Yeah.
That's really saying something.
Right. And
so I'm proud of that.
I'm very proud of you for that. I think that's great. I've always loved seeing this North, Josh, Simon, all still alive.
Right.
Like, because
Connor's with us.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really, really impressive. I want to talk about Sing for a little bit. Because there were so many things that brought up for me when they were doing that. And obviously not in any way from my own life experiences, except for, in general, the impact that music has had in my life, but in no way in those kinds of circumstances.
Right.
It's just that, music and I have a good relationship. And so, but it, again, this game is very much tailored towards racial symbolism,
right.
or struggling for racial equality.
Mm-hmm.
And the singing it was very reminiscent to me of stories that I had heard of slaves on plantations or in fields in general singing with one another.
Yeah.
Whether that is for boosting morale so that they had those moments of a bit of levity while working in these tiring conditions, and or keeping their culture. If they were singing songs about their families and their relationships and their cultures in general, where they came from. Or any myriad of other things that it could have been that I am in no way privy to. Because, having read it in history books or seen media on it or whatever. But the fact that is the way that this game ends was so impactful for me. Again, I've said this in other things that we've done. The straight white male that I am, it was impactful for me. But it made me feel, right? I was very emotional because of that. And that is the moment when President Warren said, "Tell them to stand down," and the soldiers leave, which we'll get to. Public reacts to the android's last stand. President orders soldiers not to shoot. Yeah, because again, talk about the optics. You have androids who some people consider to be subhuman, obviously, and yet here they are singing. One of the things that we had discussed a lot in this game through reading articles and things like that is like there's human-made media and art and there's android-made art.
Right.
And it was always split, or at least they were trying, like there was towards the end of the game we had that one article about like an award show that they were going to be allowing androids, an android band I think or something,
right.
to be eligible for an award, and that some humans,
that was a big deal.
Yeah, some humans were very against that.
Right.
And so this concept of the fact that these androids stepped up and sang a song. Now, you brought up, when you and I were talking about this earlier today, not in any way being recorded, you brought up that you hadn't heard that song before.
No.
Neither have I. I don't know whether that means it is an original song for this game and or an original song that the androids made up. I doubt it because they all knew it, so you would think it would be like in their memory banks or whatever.
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, because Marcus sings it, but the like verses, quote unquote, because it was hold on just a little while longer, pray on just a little while longer and then sing on just a little while longer. But when the other androids joined in, they joined in knowing the words pray and sing, even though they were different than what had already been sung.
Right.
So they had to have had it in some way, although we know that Marcus was in the past able to pass messages on to the other androids.
Telepathically make them know things.
Right.
Yeah.
And his powers had advanced over time, where he was then able to just look, like putting his hand out from a distance, convert them versus just looking at them. So it's possible that his powers had progressed to a point where he could just put that song into their heads, or it's possible that they just picked a song and sang it, and it was his choice, and the other androids knew it or searched it up and sang it with him. I don't know.
And that's a really good metaphor for just people being able to be free and be aware and be knowledgeable, and that unlocks so much more potential for them as a person and the things that they're able to do. And I'll circle back to that in a minute if you have anything else you want to wrap up.
It's just, it's just, for me, genuinely my favorite moment in the entire game. The most impactful, the most emotional, and they set it up to be that way. It's part of the big finale, and it hit everything right for me. It was exactly what I wanted, I needed, and I loved it. And if people disagree, if they thought it was corny or whatever, you're always more than welcome to leave it in the comments. Just because I'm saying all this doesn't mean that you can't be like, Joe, I didn't love it. That's totally fine. I want to hear people's thoughts. So yes, you can circle back.
So for me, Sing was the answer here.
Yeah.
Now I'm looking at this flow chart, and it's showing that there was one other option we could have chosen that would have ended up with the president ordering a ceasefire.
Yes.
I don't know what that option was, and I frankly don't care. Because in my mind, the option of Sing is the only answer that makes sense. And truthfully, people might have looked at those options and thought that the option to sing made no sense. And I think that's what is so important about me sitting here and saying that it's the only one that made sense. Because myself, as someone who grew up in an abusive home and experienced consistent trauma, is able to say that the way to heal from something like that, or the way to connect with people when you've been traumatized or subjugated or controlled, singing is one of those ways that you can create that connection without saying the words or doing specific actions that might result in aggression back towards you. Something like physical touch as well is another thing that helps you come out of a bad place that you might be in when you're experiencing a traumatic moment and reliving it, even though it already happened. Those are the kinds of things, like a human tactile touching. I mentioned before how different it is being close up in the action.
Yeah.
And seeing live somebody get murdered.
Sure.
As opposed to being far up in a helicopter and watching officers across the way firing into a crowd.
Right, and so you see certain things, like what looks like certain people falling here and there, but you don't see like the actual like impacts
So
or
the
whatever.
difference there is that distance,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That connection that you feel person to person is strained with that distance. So it's less impactful that that one person in that crowd died from being shot by an officer that's across the street as opposed to standing right next to them.
Point blank, yeah.
If that reporter wasn't in a helicopter, he was down on the ground, off to the side maybe, or maybe, given allowances by the cops or whatever to be there on the site.
Mm-hmm.
And we won't shoot you, we promise, or whatever bullshit. The things that he would have said in his reporting and the ways he would have felt in his reporting would have been drastically different. And so singing is one of those things that creates that connection in a place where it didn't exist before.
Mm-hmm.
So you have these aggressors on either side of this. This side views that side as an aggressor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter which side is which because they view the other side as an aggressor.
Yeah.
So singing here is the right choice because singing here is a way to take that aggression out. It's a way to say, no, we are the same. I'm not your aggressor. You're not my aggressor. We have a connection.
It's interesting to me because you say, and not that I in any way disagree with anything that you just said, by the way, let's get that very clear. The only other answer that I thought could have worked kind of along the same lines was if you had kissed North. And the only reason that I say that is because that shows affection, love, caring. And so while it's, I would argue, probably not as impactful as singing, it would at least show like, whoa, these two are in a relationship? Aren't they androids? Like, why are they kissing each other? That doesn't make sense. Like, there's no human tactile touch there, like you mentioned. But whenever we would see Marcus and North touch one another, hand to hand at least, not with their faces, not with kissing, but when they would touch their hands, they would remove that skin and reveal the robotics underneath, right, and the lighting and etc. And that's how they would connect, no pun intended, right, with one another. But the kissing is also a very human action. And so, to me, that was the only one that would have even come close, in my opinion, just through looking at it, because it could have been like, whoa, why are they kissing? You know, it would have been so outside of what humans might expect androids to do.
It might be. I could also see a decent number of people saying that if the androids perceived that as being something they could do to win over people,
sure,
that's what they would do.
Sure.
Whether or not these two androids felt anything for one another.
Right.
They were just kissing to make it seem like we should care about them.
Yeah. No, that's fair.
I definitely feel like a decent number of people could have made that argument. Mm-hmm. And obviously, North and Marcus would not be in the room with them enough to defend themselves.
Sure.
In that scenario.
Sure.
So to me, the only thing that made sense here was singing. And I think it's so important for me to say that because I think it's so important for people to hear that when I think probably most people saw those options and thought that the fact that singing was even one of them was absurd.
Sure. And until hopefully
I'm going to guess. I'm hoping I'm wrong.
Well,
but I'm going to guess that a decent number of people would have felt that way.
I was going to say hopefully until they actually saw it. And then when you saw it, I would hope, because of how impactful it was for me, I would hope that would I guess show them why it was an option and the best option.
Well, but if they thought it was a silly option to be on there, they wouldn't have picked it and they wouldn't have seen it.
No, I'm saying like people watching us.
Right. Well, yeah.
For example, or other people play it, like where you're watching it and you're like you're kind of playing along with us, like, ooh, if I was in that situation, I'd pick this.
Right.
Or, oh, Joe, pick that, or Amy, say that. Like, that's what I want it to be.
Sing? Amy, what are you, an idiot? Sing? Really? Yes, really.
Okay, and so then we get to Android's one freedom for the movement. Or for the moment, excuse me.
Yeah, for the moment.
Which, again, that just implies, like...
Yeah.
Sequel if you want, but
it just implies the reality that is the end to slavery in America.
Well, and
because the end to slavery wasn't really the end to slavery in America.
But also realize what President Warren said at the end. She did not say that they are definitely free and they've won their freedom. It was, I'm going to talk to Congress. This is an unprecedented situation. We're evacuating Detroit. And then we will decide what we want to do, right? And if what they want to do is nuke Detroit, well, okay, great. That's awful.
Yeah. Well, we have the detonator, so.
All right. Do we want to go to Connor next or to Kara next?
I think we want to go to Connor next.
I think we'll come... I guess we're here. Never mind. Before we go to Connor, let's just look at the percentages.
Yeah.
Because I figure we could have come back through to look at them, but that's fine. All right, so world stats, only 52% even got to this point?
Whoa.
What? What does that even mean?
Fucking way.
Oh, because did they all died on the boat? Or surrendered on the boat?
Oh, shit.
Is that even possible?
Or
What the hell?
Or they decided not to march. Because remember, we made the choice to march.
Sure. Good point.
When there were
as opposed
other
to set off a
choices.
dirty bomb right then.
Yeah, there were other choices, and we picked to march.
Sure. Okay. So yeah, only 52% even got to this point. Half of the people that played this game, that's it, got to this point.
Didn't do that.
Yeah. Only 12% kneeled.
Wow.
I could imagine that raising their fist would be... I mean, that's a very revolutionary... kind of universal revolutionary stance. Mm-hmm. I absolutely hear where you're coming from, where that could just be seen as aggression, right? But yeah, interesting. Also, I genuinely do not know in terms of the timeline of events here. I don't know what, because I know this game was 2018 was when it came out, and I assume the majority of the play of this game was within a few months of the time when it was released.
Yeah.
In terms of the percentages that are here, at least. And others trickling in over time, not unlike ourselves. But I don't know...
Yeah, because this isn't, connected to the internet where it, consistently updates or whatever, right?
Of course it is.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's definitely... We bought this off of the internet. I thought you were
saying that these percentages are based on... the first few months.
No, I said other people may have trickled in since then. I just assume that most of the data that they gathered
that played. Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
That the most of the people that played shortly after it came out, so as to avoid spoilers and things like that, and that now that it's 3 years later,
there's not that many more people playing it.
Exactly.
Right.
But I don't believe, and I could, 2018, I actually don't know. I don't know when the Colin Kaepernick situation occurred and other members of the NFL who kneeled during the national anthem as a form of protest. Mm-hmm. I don't know when that began, but I feel like it might have been 2018.
Yeah.
But I feel like if it was, maybe that number would have been higher.
Right.
Or maybe it would have been lower, because there are people who are for that course of action and people who are against that course of action, as is most things.
It's a different scenario here.
Kind of, yeah. I'm just saying, like, that may have had a connotation for some. That may have been why they did or did not choose that. Because 12% feels low out of 4 options, but I think charge was one of them. So, like,
it feels very low to me.
Yeah.
Because again, I picked a kneel after reviewing the other 3 and saying it can't possibly be any of those. So I have to pick kneel.
Right.
So to me, that percentage is somewhat silly.
It's very low.
But it appears that it really wouldn't have mattered what we picked there, because it still would have gone to the next piece.
Correct.
And not really affected it. So
I find it, I may have done this incorrectly in the past, or talked about this incorrectly in the past. This 12%, I'm going to assume that those 4 options break down in percentages that lead up to 100%,
right,
not to 52%.
Yes.
Despite the fact that only 52% of players got to this point,
right,
that it's still showing 100%
of people.
Correct.
Yes.
That's my guess. I think that's how it works. To use the abandoned car was 47%. That's kind of irrelevant. It's just, that was the closest thing to us in that moment. So, okay. 51% chose slogans. 31% talked to the scared android. 47% talked to the traumatized android and to North. 30% observed the soldiers. 23% observed the detonator, although that makes sense because not everybody would have even had the detonator, because we chose to keep it, but you could have given it back to North and said no.
Mm-hmm.
And then there were 2 other options that we didn't do. 40% choose to negotiate, so 60% don't even bother going out there because I guess they feel it's a trap or whatever, or it won't do much. And then 36% refuse the deal. I guess, again, of the people that do go out to speak to him.
I don't know. I mean, you said come back to being 100%, but perhaps not. Because if it's 40% here, and then you go to there and it's 36%, then okay, that means only 4% of people took the deal.
Yeah, but if you look, 36% then becomes 49%. So.
Oh, wow.
But
so are there really that many people that took the fucking deal?
Well, no.
That was terrible.
No, because again, well, I don't know. It's unclear. Because it looks like if you didn't negotiate with Perkins, it led to the soldiers attacking the barricade as well. Right? That secondary option leads over to there also.
Okay. So maybe that 49% is the percentile that got
combined
that. So anyone who picked this option,
that's what I'm saying,
is included in that.
That's what I'm saying. It's a little unclear.
Okay.
If people know, like if this is something that you've come across as well, and you know that answer, let us know. But or if you have opinions, let us know. Because I am not a statistics and probability guy. I do enjoy numbers, and I'm like okay with math.
Yeah, this is a little difficult to grasp here because.
But
it's hard to know what these percentages are actually based on.
Right. But, 49% of the time the soldiers attack the barricade, so you get to defending the barricade. 47% of the time you save them. So only 2% of people, it seems, if I'm reading this correctly, only 2% of people lost, that didn't save the fleeing androids. Marcus is cornered 48% of the time, but 30% of people have Simon join. 43% have North join. 47% have Josh join. So it looks like Josh lives more often than North does.
Yeah.
Well, because North we could have left North behind we could have left Josh behind too, but we could have left North behind on the boat when she got shot, and we had to very much risk our lives to go save her and pull her out.
Yeah. Yes. But also don't forget our relationship with North her arrows kept on going down a lot because we kept on doing non-violent things. Whereas Josh's arrows kept going up.
Because we kept doing nonviolent things.
Right. So if other people were in that sort of situation where they never became lovers.
Sure, but...
Or whatever.
Right, but if she was with you... I'm just saying, I believe that North not joining, I don't think has to do with whether she's your lover or not. I think it has to do with whether she's alive or not. Because it's not like she wouldn't have gone marching with you. She still would have thought that was the right decision, you know? And then she would have joined you, meaning like, because either that or she's dead. You know, like she would have just gotten shot behind the barricade because they all just gather in that one spot. It's just, I think this is just showing like you have all three of them, so they all join you.
Right.
The soldiers raise their weapons 48% of the time, which is consistent with Marcus is cornered and you save the fleeing androids and etc. 17% sing. I was so curious what that number was going to be. 17%.
Yeah, I think I didn't want to know.
That's so low.
Yeah.
Because that was such a good... Oh, God. What a great moment. And people just didn't even get to see it. Because Sing just barely got picked.
Yeah.
Wow.
And like I said, in my mind, it was the only correct answer.
And yet...
It was the only way to do it.
Public reacts to the android's last stand 43%. And if you look, you said there was one other option besides Sing that would have led you to that point, and yet it yields 43% with 17% as the other option.
Right. So
interesting.
So more than half of the people who
get to
that point
picked
the other option that would have worked instead of Sing.
Yeah, but I can't imagine it'd be better than Sing. That was so good. Wow.
And there were 3 options that apparently get us killed. I don't know.
Well, but there's 2 branching paths down here.
Yeah.
So who knows? And public reacts to the android's last stand can lead to one of those branching paths as well.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
So I don't know. I don't know what that means. But but it says the president orders soldiers not to shoot. So the other option is presumably the president orders the soldiers to shoot.
Yeah, that's why I'm saying we get killed.
Yeah. But then I don't know what this bottom one is. You get killed sooner? I have
no idea. Or the president just doesn't make an order?
I guess. So only 40% of people won the android's freedom.
Wow.
That's less than half.
Yeah.
And the rest get them all killed, I guess.
Yeah. Or put in concentration camps.
And then killed.
Yeah.
It was very quick. It did not last very long. All right, so let's get rid of the stats and let's go to Connor.
Okay.
Battle for Detroit, Connor's last mission. So whatever the hell this is, we weren't here, but let's talk about these. So our public opinion is still supportive towards us.
Okay.
Software instability has considers us a deviant now.
Yeah.
Hank considers us a friend, and Amanda feels betrayed by us, as she should. That is something that I'm a little frustrated by, not at you in any way, of course, that we didn't learn more about Amanda.
Yeah.
As I said, I'm relatively certain I saw her in that picture in what's-his-name's house.
Right.
The original creator of the androids, who made Connor decide not to shoot that female android. Mm-hmm. And you could have looked at it, and it would have unlocked a dialogue option when talking to Amanda later, and I missed it.
Yeah.
And I'm very frustrated by that because I want to know.
Right.
I want to know who she is because we have nothing. We have none of that information. Yeah. You asked, right? Is she an android? Is she a person? I believe she's a human, and she just, is in Connor's brain, right? Because it was
programmed into him.
And you didn't find that out technically until way later in the game where, he's there and then he opens his eyes and is in a different place. Mm-hmm. So interesting. So I don't know what this is in the beginning. I just don't. But this is massive. Wow. Look at all the shit that we apparently missed out on. Oh.
Oh, it just didn't populate?
I don't think so. The hell? That's so weird. Okay, and then... Oh!
There we go.
Okay, so it was Connor's last mission? What could that have been?
Getting the androids out of Cyberlife.
No, that's this. Connor at the Cyberlife Tower. We missed an entire mission.
Maybe if we hadn't betrayed Amanda, Amanda would have given us another mission.
I guess? Or if we hadn't joined up with the Deviants, maybe we would have had a mission working with Hank. Because we don't technically know how or why. Well, I guess we know Hank went with Connor to Cyberlife, the fake Connor, to Cyberlife. Because he said, sorry, Connor, he was a spitting image of you, or whatever he said. So, all right. So anyway, let's go over this. Cyberlife headquarters. We follow the guards. We're inside the elevator. Now find a way to escape. So we attacked the guards. We neutralized the guards. We hacked the elevator by copying the guard's voice. We redirected the elevator. And then it goes down to floor 49. And the camera was functional, so we got caught. I guess there was a way up here to disable the camera. I just hadn't looked up in the corner to see it enough to know that we could have hacked the camera as well as the elevator.
Yeah.
But we also could have, it seems, we could have not succeeded in neutralizing the guards, which would have led to whatever this middle thing is that isn't floor negative 49. And then I don't know what this upper thing is, because there was another way, I guess, to find a way to escape that would have led to whatever this is. Okay. But this middle one, I believe, is Connor dies or whatever, because you don't neutralize the guards.
Yeah.
So if you don't neutralize the guards, you ain't going anywhere, or you just go up to the top floor, because it said, like, stop the elevator before you reach your destination or whatever. So maybe that is you reach your destination because you don't neutralize the guards.
Right.
But
well, and when we were in the elevator, I said, well, why? Like, what's the problem with going and seeing this person that they're taking us to? And, like,
well, because
you know what I mean?
We didn't have a reason to actually be there, I guess, is the thing, right? So if we didn't have a reason to be there, then by the time we got up there, what would we say to them? Like, oh, hi, Connor, why are you here?
We would say to them, look, I'm investigating deviants. I'm trying to figure something out about this programming. What's happening here?
Yeah, but
we saw that the deviants are protesting now for rights. So where's the line between there's a flaw in these machines and these machines deserve to have rights? Where's that, where's the line between those two things? And you're going to the source to ask that. I mean,
I don't think we had time for any of that. We needed these androids to show up to back up the people in the barricades. Now, technically, we have the benefit of hindsight to know that we didn't need any of them because Marcus was able to handle it himself through your good work. But Connor didn't know that. And Marcus, when asking Connor to do it, didn't know that.
Right.
We were on a time constraint. So, I don't know. I have no idea.
I mean, I guess that whole scenario would have made a lot more sense earlier on in the game.
Yeah.
For him to have done that.
Right.
But because
Connor
he
was...
didn't.
Well, and Connor was the only one who could have gotten that far.
Right.
And because Marcus, couldn't have gotten in there because Connor had to, show his credentials and everything.
That he was a police officer.
Yeah, exactly. So the camera was functional, which means that guards were awaiting us. So we eliminated those guards as well. We initiate the android conversion, but new Connor has Hank hostage. So wait. Oh, okay, obviously. So if you don't eliminate the guards... that one is probably also you die. Whatever, this locked one down here is just you die. Now, if the camera was not functional, there would not be guards waiting for you, and so you would just initiate the conversion.
Right.
Instead, there were guards waiting for us. We eliminate them, and then we initiate the conversion. But then there's two options. new Connor has Hank hostage or something else. But
maybe new Connor would not have shown up with Hank because...
we're not friends with him.
No, because the guards wouldn't have been waiting for us.
No.
I guess...
I think if we weren't friends with Hank, he wouldn't have come with Connor to Cyberlife.
Yeah.
There would have been no reason for him to. And it wouldn't have mattered because we wouldn't have, cared. He wouldn't have thought that we would have cared enough.
Right.
New Connor wouldn't have thought that we cared enough to try to save Hank.
Right.
And so then whatever this is, this branching path that we never did, Jesus.
Wow.
That would have occurred if we weren't friends with Hank, I guess. That's my guess. I don't know that. So we stop the conversion to save Hank. We attack New Connor, because there were 4 options there, right? We could have interposed, which we did. We could have shot, I think. I think we could have tried to shoot him.
A warning shot or something.
I don't
No,
remember.
that was one of the
that was
Marcus
things.
things.
Yeah. I don't know. There were 3 options that we could have done once we had stopped the conversion. We decided to attack. So the Connors fight, the Connors draw. Hank grabs the gun, asks about his dog's name. You guessed correctly. Well, sorry. You guessed incorrectly by saying
remember.
Scout or something. I remembered that it was Sumo.
I knew it was with an S.
You remembered Cole. We both remembered Cole, his son's name. Hank kills New Connor, and you resume the conversion, and the androids woke up.
Yeah, I'd be interested to see the percentages here.
Oh, we're doing it. Don't you worry. That's the next step. But what did you... I mean, that was... Again, this one's a little tough for me. Because the whole Connor, New Connor, Hank situation, I don't buy it.
Very tropey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One, why was New Connor already in the basement...
Unless Cyberlife expected Connor to come. And in their expecting Connor to come, they prepared for it by making sure that they had lots of security to shoot him, but first trick him into thinking that he was going to get in.
Sure.
And then they were going to kill him. But they built in a plan B.
Yeah, they had backups for their backups.
Right, by making sure that they had a fake Connor go and get Hank so that they could use him as leverage against real Connor.
Yeah.
It seems a bit over the top.
But I'll also say... because we were friends, right? That's what Hank and Connor. That's why that worked. You pointed this out, I think, while it was happening. None of it made sense. When we, as real Connor, realized that New Connor had downloaded our memories...
Right.
He knew Sumo. He knew Cole. But, as just a functioning android... my guess is, presumably that's just where it would have ended. What's my son's name? Cole.
Right.
Because New Connor would have only answered the question. He's too literal to have done anything more. Whereas us, Connor, real Connor...
has a relationship with Hank.
And so was able to say, you skidded. He died. It wasn't your fault.
Right.
The actual, understanding the emotion behind the question as opposed to just answering the question to be like, see, I know about you. I'm the real Connor. Shoot that guy.
Right.
And so we were able to say, we understand that was really tough for you. And that's why you hated androids.
Right.
And we say you hate androids. That's why you hate androids. But we know he doesn't hate Connor anymore. He sure did when they first met, but he doesn't by the end of the game.
Right.
And, God, that moment of the two of them hugging, whoo!
Yeah.
That was another, again, not as bad as the singing for me emotionally, but it was awesome.
Yeah.
It was just awesome. So, yes, let's look at some percentages. 73% of people made it to this point.
Okay.
Which is very impressive
Yeah,
considering.
really good.
That's awesome. 73% attacked the guards. 72% neutralized the guards. So only 1% fail that. 71% hacked the elevator because we already lost the
one more.
Yeah. 71% copied the guard's voice. So I guess there was something else there that nobody did. Has no one ever seen this locked thing?
I guess not. I guess not.
But yeah, you copy the guard's voice instead of using Connor's voice, which was the other option. You redirect the elevator, and then you get to floor minus 49. The camera was functional 53% of the time. So one of these here was to neutralize the camera. And then it looks like 18% of people did that. But 53% didn't, because where the hell, how would you know?
Yeah.
I didn't know.
There'd be no reason for you to look up in that moment. And it didn't tell you that you should do that.
Right.
Even though it did tell you that you needed to neutralize the guards and get out of the elevator.
Yeah.
Or be
Before
able,
to
reprogram the elevator or whatever.
Sure.
Press the right button or something.
Right. 3% of people were not able to eliminate the guards, but 50% did.
Okay.
Wow. 68% of the time you initiate the conversion. And then I guess 2% of the time you're not friends with Hank. So that part doesn't matter. But otherwise, 66% Hank is held hostage. 57% decide to stop. So 9% of people don't stop converting to save Hank. Wow. So Hank dies, I guess? New Connor kills him?
Either that or New Connor... Remember one of the options, and it's one of the ones I picked, in fact, was to bluff and say that he doesn't mean anything to me.
Yep.
So if you continued to convert the other androids, that might be like another way to like secondarily bluff.
I guess.
And he might not have actually killed him in that moment if he was just threatening to do so and you just kept converting.
Except he said to you, I downloaded your memories. I know that you had a connection. You have a connection with him. Or you formed a connection or whatever. So only 18% of people interpose.
What?
Well, because again, there were other options. Who knows where they would have led? We don't. But only 18% of people interposed. There were other ways to try to save Hank. It's not that the other three options are all Hank, forget about Hank.
Right.
There were three other options, but only 18% attack. Connor's fight, Connor's draw, Hank grabs gun, Hank asks about his dog's name. Half the people remembered Sumo, or over half the people remembered Sumo. The exact same percentage of people remember Cole.
Okay.
And so the exact same percent of people have Hank kill New Connor, and so you resume the conversion, and 52% of people have the androids wake up.
Wow, so does that mean that if they couldn't remember Sumo and Cole, that the old Connor gets killed by Hank?
Possibly, yeah.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. Because look, I mean, if you get it wrong and you get it wrong, there's an upper path.
Half people got killed by Hank because he thought it was the wrong Connor?
Yep.
Oh, shit.
Well, because he thought it was the wrong Connor because you got the questions wrong.
Yeah, no,
so
I get it.
He would have thought that you weren't the Connor he'd been with, right? I'm curious if people have opinions, and I want yours too, Amy, if you don't mind.
Okay.
But I'm curious if folks have opinions if I should have let Amy get Sumo wrong.
Oh no.
No, I'm curious. Like not like kill, let Connor die. But just the idea of you didn't remember.
Right.
Now the reason that, because I thought about this after the fact, the reason that I did that is because we have a recording schedule that, not a recording schedule where it's up on the wall and we're like, well, tonight's a recording night, but it's we're playing multiple games at the same time. We have our lives as well, right? I still work a 9 to 5. You're working during the day often as well, doing errands for us or doing other things. there are things that need to be done. And so
A lot of things.
Right. And so frequently with a lot of these games that we're playing, we will take large swaths of time off. Or, we'll, like I said, we're playing multiple games at the same time. Do I expect you to have memorized every character in every game that we're playing at any given time?
Hell no, and it's a good thing you don't, because I don't memorize anything. I suck at that.
And I'm aware that my memory is very good,
Yes.
but also, and I don't think this came into play here, but also I have the benefit on occasion, again, this was not one of those times, but I have the benefit on occasion of when I'm uploading the videos and rechecking them and making sure that they sound okay and stuff,
Right.
I'm rewatching the videos.
Yeah.
So I'm hearing all these things again. That did not happen here. I just happened to remember that the dog's name was Sumo.
Yeah.
I have a memory for these kinds of things. And we both remembered Cole because that was an impactful thing.
Right.
But so I wanted you to be able to have the Sumo answer correct, despite the fact that it had probably been weeks since we actually played the mission where
we learned
we
Sumo's
met
name.
Sumo and heard Hank call him Sumo.
Right.
So that's why I did it, but I can absolutely understand if people are like, Joe,
Cop out.
well, not even cop out, but like you wanted Amy to be able to play these games,
Right.
so let her fail as much as you let her succeed. It's just that I know that if you had played this on your own time, presumably you would have been more invested in...
Right, or if we had played it every day consecutively, or even every other day consecutively, instead of 3 weeks later or whatever.
Yeah.
You know,
Right.
I probably would have remembered Sumo.
Right. So that's why I did it, but and no hard feelings. If people have that opinion, I want people to be able to say it, not to be like, "Don't worry, Joe, it's okay." Like I'm not asking for validation because I'm like hurt.
Right.
I want to know what people's thoughts are for the future, so that if stuff like this comes up again, it can be like, well, I'm going to let you sink or swim. That's your,
Right.
If you don't remember it, you don't remember it. But
Well, I mean, we're on generation 4 or whatever of Pokemon that
Right.
we're playing.
Yeah.
And I'm still looking at this chart that you gave me, and I don't even read it correctly half the time. Like, imagine what it would be like if I didn't have this chart. and I had to memorize all of this stuff. And realistically speaking, I only have this chart because people years later were nice enough to put it up online because they didn't have it when they played Pokemon. And it drove them fucking nuts.
yeah, well.
So,
Or you could be crazy like some of us and just know all that stuff off the top of your head. And
I can't. I'm not capable.
No, sorry. I didn't mean like you should do that.
But
I mean,
some people are capable and some people are not, and I am not. So, this is a much smaller example of something like this with the chart where, like, it should be a lot easier for me to remember something as simple as Sumo being a dog's name.
Yeah.
But it makes sense. It tracks with me and my ability to memorize things and remember things weeks and weeks later when we're skipping around and doing other stuff.
Yeah.
It's just things don't stay in my mind like that.
Yeah.
They just go back out.
And people have different skills and different abilities. That's just how life works, right? That's how being a human works. Oh man, we did it.
Detroit being human.
Thank you. And so last but not least, after we get rid of the stats, let's go to Kara. You ready?
Yeah.
Okay. A Detroit street. We find a gun. We hide from the military. We sneak past the soldiers. Because Luther was saved in Crossroads, we find Luther and Jerry. So we save Luther, because that was a tough one for you.
Yeah.
Deciding whether to go and save Luther. You were worried that you wouldn't be able to do it, or that it,
that we would get killed.
Yeah. Or Alice get killed.
Again, it's different when you're Connor or you're Marcus and you're an adult and you're not the caretaker of a child.
Sure.
Right? The level of risk that you're able to take, as well as the level of risk that you're willing to take, is going to be drastically different when it's just you. than when a little girl is depending on you to survive.
Right.
So, not only did I need to survive, but Alice needed to survive.
Yeah.
And the only way that was going to happen was if I was more careful with Kara than with Marcus and Connor.
Oh, shit. That's dark as hell. So, first of all, public opinion is supportive. Alice considers us family, and Luther considered us family. But he's grayed out because he is dead. That is so shitty, game.
But also, it's really nice to see that that's the only name that's grayed out. That's the only thing that's grayed out.
Yep.
Because, again, we weren't able to save Luther, but overall, so many more people could have died.
Yep.
If things had gone differently. So I'm pretty proud of the way that we did this.
Again, I'm very proud of you, taking nothing away. I just think that's a little dark that it's like grayed out like that. That's all I mean.
It's a little light, is what it is.
Boo. So yes, you save Luther by grabbing a rock, hitting the soldier with a rock. Jerry flees. Luther joins us. We go to the bus terminal. There's a security checkpoint. You take a detour. So there was an option to not take... Oh, right. You could have not taken the detour and tried to go through the checkpoint.
Yes.
Which meant you would have gone to up here, and there were many more branching paths.
Yeah, I wanted to avoid all that bullshit.
Find a way to the border. Find Adam. Okay. Oh, the Rose's son. I was like, who the hell's Adam? And then... Wow, look at all this stuff. Oh my god. Wow, okay.
Again, the game would have been drastically different if we had made decisions slightly differently.
Super different.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Because I will say, and you may not know this because I don't know, like, Life is Strange would probably be the game that was closest to this in this manner. There are certain games where they say, like, you get all the choices, and so you could make a decision in Life is Strange that would lead to a character living or a character dying, right? You could make a decision that would lead you to one place in the city versus another.
Right.
But certain games say that you have lots of choices, and yet, like, there's like one of three outcomes, but it only branches right before the end.
Right.
And all the other things, it's basically the flow chart would be a straight line, a horizontal line, until you got to the end, and then it would fork. Right. And that's literally it, and that's the end. This is super not like that.
It's very complex.
Some of these flow charts were like that, but, I mean, my God.
Some decisions are simpler.
This is insane. Look at all this shit.
And obviously, with a story like this, it's going to get more complex as you go.
Yeah.
It has to.
Yeah.
Because the stakes are getting higher.
Yeah.
Each new chapter or time that you come back to the same character.
Yeah.
The stakes are higher and higher and higher and higher and higher. Even though when we begun this game, the stakes were so incredibly high, I was shaking.
Yeah. Well, that's because, again, the first mission they throw you into is, hey, there's an android that's got a little girl hostage. You better save her.
Well, and so they do that on purpose because they want you to know from the get-go, this is intense. Yeah. And it's going to intensify as you go. So if you can't handle numero uno, get out now.
Yep.
And I almost couldn't.
Yeah, but I asked you that day one. I said to you, would that make you stop playing? And you said no, but it did give you pause.
Right.
And I think we discussed this, and I know it's okay to discuss either way, but the mission with Alice and her father.
Right.
And his abuse of her.
Right.
You took some time after that one as well.
Right. And I honestly think that if the decisions were harder or we were unable to do what we needed to do, like you said before, that the difficulty level of this was like casual or whatever.
Yeah.
If we had upped the difficulty level and we had done those two missions and I was or you were unable to save these children, that may have been the end of this game for me.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, because it's watching children die is not entertainment.
No.
Yeah, that's fair. That's definitely fair.
Yeah, especially for somebody like me.
Yeah.
For other people where it's not a traumatic experience because they didn't grow up in an abusive home.
Sure. Still,
it's an impactful media, right? It's
Sure.
it's a story that's emotional, it's engaging. So I could understand you sticking around for it, right?
to a degree. I
You
mean,
know, oh my God, she's dead. Like, now Kara is, like, trying to figure out what to do next with her life, how to escape this household, you know, all whatever would have come of that.
yeah.
If anything would have, I don't
Right.
know.
I don't either. I can't
Because that's
imagine.
not what happened when
No.
we did it.
Thank God.
Yeah. But, you know, for somebody like me, having those things happen in the game may have been a deal breaker for me. I can't say definitively that it would have been
Yeah, but not only a deal breaker.
because
I mean,
I didn't
yeah, but
experience it, but
I would have felt awful though. Like just the idea that like, again, it's not. They're not real, right? They're ones and zeros, as people
Right.
will say in some ways. But it's a story, right? You're getting invested in the characters. But still, the idea that your actions, quote unquote, led to the death of a child in a game setting
Right.
is still super fucked up to
Right.
like, you know, for any person to deal with, but especially, as you said,
Right.
someone with the background that you've had and the experiences that you've had.
so not only having grown up in an abusive home, but also the helplessness that you feel in that kind of a situation. Now all of a sudden you're playing a game where you're in that situation again and you feel that helplessness again.
Sure.
Because again, you're unable to do anything about it.
And I mean that could even unfortunately be like a self-fulfilling prophecy in that like you start to feel helpless, like you start to panic about the situation,
Right.
which means you're like paralyzed a bit and you don't make a decision and it makes it worse in the game
And or
because
you're not, you know, pressing the button enough or whatever.
God damn it, that shit sucked.
Yeah.
We'll get there in this stuff.
Kara
but-
trying to break that wall, I mean, it took forever. It seemed like forever.
the deviancy wall, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Because that was the first time that we did it.
Correct. Because we didn't do it with Marcus till later and Connor
Right.
till way later. Yeah, good point. She was the
So.
first. Yeah, and for you, knowing that Alice was upstairs yelling or about to be have the father go at her or whatever, and now we're like, hurry the fuck up, Carl, what the hell? Yeah, no, I get that. Okay, so we take the detour. We are delayed.
Yeah, because I was standing there like yelling, like, go follow him. And you're like, I can't, I'm
Yeah.
stuck here.
I have to open this door, wall, whatever. So this was interesting. You took the detour. I swore we would have had enough time.
Yeah, me too.
And
I was
they
like, okay, because it said 11 minutes.
Yep.
And we only had 10, and I was like, okay, if we can traverse it quicker,
Yep.
then it might actually shave off that minute, and we
Yeah.
might actually make it in time. But
Yep.
that's not how the game worked.
Nope.
It was just telling you, look, you take this detour,
Yep.
and oh, you're already taking the detour? Okay,
And
you're not gonna make it.
not only that, like I assumed because we weren't keeping track of the time that closely, but we got through that area where we were hiding from the military or whatever. We got through there, I feel like, very quickly.
Yeah.
And so because of that, when they were like, it'll take a little bit longer, I'm like, who gives a shit? We took such a small amount of time.
Right.
We should be fine.
Right. When you said we had 10 minutes, I was like, oh, okay. Because I'm here thinking we have seconds.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But no, we had all this time. And so I was like, okay, then we have the time to take the detour.
Yeah.
And it's going to be a lot easier and safer than trying to get through this checkpoint when we're definitely androids.
Yeah.
Like, we
Yep.
have passports, whatever.
Yeah, but the
and
second
we don't
they-
have the little ring in our head.
Yeah.
But, like, we're literally fucking androids.
Yeah,
Like,
if they
they have a
s-
scanner.
Yeah.
They can tell that we're machines instead of people.
Yeah. So, anyway, so we got delayed. We got screwed over because then we're late for the bus. The late bus departs. And so we have to find a way to the border. Okay, so this is where this converges. But look at all these different options.
Yeah.
I mean, god damn it. That's so many options.
Well, because take a look at this. The last bus departs.
Yeah.
We're not on it.
Nope.
And then it goes right into find a way to the border and goes to find Adam.
Which, well, find Adam is one of them. Yeah, but I mean, like, but look, there were 4 scenarios up top that all converged on whatever this thing is.
Yeah.
That's above late for the bus.
Yes, but...
And only one that goes to late for the bus.
But that was on the line with going through the checkpoint.
Correct. So that's so interesting to me. They do, again, it does still end up in the same place, that you still have to find a way to the border. Very, very interesting. Okay. Then we find out.
But I just feel like it skipped some steps here. Like, we had to... Like, here it says the last bus departs.
Yeah.
We aren't on it.
Yeah.
Now we're in this bus station and we have to stay hidden and we have to escape.
Well,
and then we find Adam.
Well, no. It was basically just... Because the game, like, told us, though, where it wasn't like that we had to stay hidden. It was just that we noticed that they were coming around with the scanner, so we just had to walk away. We were able to leave.
That means stay hidden.
Okay.
We had to be stealthy enough
to
walk away and not be followed by them and scanned. So, like, to me, this shouldn't say find a way to the border. You know, this should say, like, find a way to escape the bus station.
Okay.
Then we find Adam, and then we need to find a way to the border.
Because then we get in Rose's car, we get to the river, we get out of Rose's car, we get to the Detroit riverbank, which apparently there were 3 things we could have done there, which we didn't do, which is fine.
Okay.
We talk to Rose, we push the boat, we talk to Alice, the Coast Guard appears, we dive.
Yeah.
Which I was really worried about your choice to dive.
Really?
Well, because again, we had read multiple articles that talked about the fact that the androids that are used in the United States cannot handle cold temperatures.
As well as androids in Russia.
Correct.
They can handle it better than humans can.
I mean, I guess, but look at what happened when we got in the water as Kara and pushed. We had a minute before we would have been destroyed. We would have been we would have had to shut down. So
section by section.
No.
We wouldn't have instantaneously shut down.
No, because when we were pushing and the timer was ticking down, when we were at 58 seconds, we were getting notifications that there were damaged parts.
Oh, okay.
Like life things going down or whatever. Regardless, I'm just saying when you said dive, I was worried.
Yeah.
Obviously, you made the right call because we survived. All I'm saying is when you were like, all of us get in the water. I'm like, get in the water. Because like you pointed out when we then got out of the water, Alice had been complaining she was cold the whole time.
Right.
And we never disabled her sensor.
Right.
And
I was afraid to.
Sure.
Because I thought that if there was something wrong with her and we disabled the sensor, then we would be unaware if she was going to die or something.
Sure. Well, I also found it interesting because before you know that she's an android, Rose touches her forehead and she's got a fever.
Right.
Is that just because she's warm because she's a robot? Like, you know what I mean? Like
exactly. It doesn't make any sense.
No, it was very odd to me. But the fact that, yes, she's programmed with sensitivity to heat and cold, you know?
Right.
But she wouldn't have had a fever. They were in the cold. Like, I don't think androids can develop diseases, like, you know?
Right. And so that's why I was worried, because there was this sort of gray area between where I didn't understand what it would mean for her to be unwell.
Right. Yeah. I agree.
Because she had a fever, which androids shouldn't be able to have.
Correct.
She felt really cold all the time, which androids shouldn't be able to have.
Right.
But then we learned there was a sensor that told her that she was cold.
Right. Experiencing the sensation of cold, sure.
Right. but I was afraid to disable it then because of those other two things. I was like, okay, so if there's something off about this, and then I just flip a switch to say, okay, now she won't bother me anymore by telling me she's cold.
Right.
She's going to fucking die.
Right.
And
we're
I'm not
gonna
going to be able to fix it.
Sure.
So, like, I was too afraid to do something
No,
like
that's
that.
fine. All I'm saying is, like, I was worried. I mean, again, like I said, obviously you made the right call, or a right call.
Yeah,
Who's to say?
that is the right call. If you're being shot at while you're on a boat, jump in the water, because
Yeah.
you're a lot safer under that water than you are above the water on a boat.
Yeah. But, so, okay, and...
So I kind of, when I made that decision, I made it based more on this is what you should do as a human.
Sure.
I wasn't thinking, well, this android's going to get too cold
Sure.
and not be able to stay under the water long enough.
Interesting, though. It looks like only one of those choices would have led to something besides Coast Guard opens fire, but then that's the end. I think one of the options was surrender, that's why.
Yeah.
So if you surrendered, you maybe would have just gotten captured or whatever.
Right.
And so then it would end right there. Coast Guard opens fire. Now it says Luther died. So there are two other options there.
Oh, wow.
So I guess we could have saved Luther, too.
Yeah, that
Or-
would have been awesome.
Yeah.
Now, it looks like
What?
I'm trying to see. So Coast Guard opening fire,
Yeah.
we're not sure if the other two of those options meant that Luther still got shot but survived.
I do not know. You're right.
I'm not sure about that.
I mean, I assume one of them is like, Luther is fine or whatever. Like, I have no idea. I really don't know. Because that's odd. I don't... maybe... Because... So, dive is in the middle, but in the lower half. So maybe it goes by level of success. And, like, dive is, like, the third worst option.
Okay.
Whereas... Because if you notice, the lowest option brings you to the bottom.
Right.
And I assume that's surrender.
Okay.
Right, so
Right.
surrender brings you to whatever that bottom option is, which is presumably you get captured or just
die.
killed, straight up dead. And dive is towards the bottom, and yet all the other results, no matter what, yield Coast Guard opens fire, but because you dove, that led to Luther dying.
Okay.
Possibly. I don't know
Maybe.
that for a fact.
Maybe.
But that's my guess. Then the boat is sinking. So you cast Luther away, you dispose of the supplies, and you try to row. The boat is lightened because we dispose of the engine. Oh, interesting.
What?
So I guess there was one more thing that we could have done to try to lighten the boat before disposing of the engine. Because once you disposed of the engine, the push option appeared because you pushed from where the engine was.
Right.
And so maybe if you didn't cast Luther away, you didn't dispose of the supplies, and you didn't try to row, you could have just pushed the engine off and gotten into the water and pushed. But because of all the weight that would have been in the boat, it would have been even harder. Because that was the most physically taxing moment in the entire game, was slamming that X button to the point where, like, every other time I've had to do it this game, I've done it the way I typically mash a button.
Right.
I hold the controller still, and then I, like, take my right hand off and just use my thumb to hit the button over and over again. When I got to half to 3/4 of the way through hitting that X button, I needed to use my left hand to move the controller into my right thumb.
Oh, God.
Because I could not mash the button anymore.
Right.
My thumb was so, like, taut and exhausted that I couldn't, like, actually press it
Press
as
the
much
button.
as I had to.
Yeah.
Maybe I could have just used a different finger
Right.
or something. But I knew that my thumb was experienced in mashing buttons, so I just I used
You slammed the controller into your finger.
I sure did.
Oh my God, that's so pathetic. That's so sad that's what you have to do.
But it's to show you how difficult it was
Yeah.
to push a boat full of water. I mean, it was sinking. So we lightened the boat, we disposed of the engine, we dove into the water, and we did reach Canada on the boat. Kara and Alice survived. So there were other options down here. And in fact, Yeah, because then there were whatever this is up here.
Yeah.
There were these options, and then there's this. Kara and Alice survived. Now, we will get to the percentages in just a second, but if you notice what it says on the bottom right, press R1 to view Kara captured flowchart. That never happened, so I suspect, much like Connor's last mission, that this will yield nothing. Correct. 0% completed.
Damn it.
Kara
I would
captured.
have liked to have seen some of that.
Look.
Jesus.
Holy shit.
Okay, so once we're captured, I guess we're not instantly murdered because
Wow.
look at all these
Look at
decisions that we
this.
get to make to try to escape or whatever.
That is insane. Wow. But none of it happened. So, anyway, we're back here. Let's check our percentages, and then we're done.
Yeah.
Okay. 77% find the gun. We hide from the military. Because Luther was saved, 49% find Luther and Jerry. 47% save Luther. So only 2% of people choose to leave Luther there.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
64% grab a rock. That's a lot. Jerry flees and Luther joins the group. 42%. So I guess the top one is that, like, Jerry joins us as well? I assume?
I mean, I don't think so. It doesn't seem to be connected to anything else.
No. No, but neither is Jerry flees and Luther joins the group. It's just then you
I
continue
see.
to the bus terminal.
Okay.
So 70% get to the security checkpoint. 19% take the detour. So I guess
Wow.
everybody else felt that they could get through the checkpoint.
How?
I don't know, but I mean, look, it's obviously possible. A lot of things happen up there.
I did not think there was any way we could get through that
I
fucking
mean,
checkpoint.
I didn't either. I would have agreed. Again, I told you, I thought we had enough time. But I guess people did the math. It takes 11 minutes. We have 10. I'm not going to do it. And so they decide to go through the checkpoint because it's in their minds, maybe their only option. And sure enough, we were late. So, but, spoilers, you're late anyway. So,
Yeah.
it always gets to that point regardless. So
I'm
you're
just
delayed.
saying, like, if the checkpoint consisted of people checking passports without scanners, then I would have done the checkpoint.
But we saw the scanners.
But they were literally scanning people to see if they were androids.
Yep.
There was a guy saying, "I'm not an android, my wife's waiting for me." And they were like, "Dude, you're fucking dead."
And they did. They killed him.
And I'm just like, okay, we don't have the option of fucking around here.
Yep. Pretty much. And so then 9% are late for the bus.
But it was out of like 17% or what?
Again, if that's how we do it, yeah.
Yeah.
Out of 19.
19. Wow. So other people were able to get there fast enough, I guess.
Yep. But again, it just
So I
leads
guess
you to...
it was the kind of thing where you're able to get that clock down if you go fast enough.
I have no idea. But again, it doesn't matter. It just would have taken you to this top thing, and then you're here for Find a Way to the Border regardless.
Right.
There are so many things here, but we just find Adam, which is 27% of people. Get in Rose's car, which is 29%, because these other options here take you there as well,
okay.
it seems. At least this
At
one
least that
does.
bottom one, yeah.
Yeah. 29% are at the river. You get out of Rose's car, 29%. 29% talk to Rose, talk to Alice. 8% dive into the water.
Wow. 8%.
Well, because
That-
again, there's a lot of options, right?
Yeah.
28% of the time, the Coast Guard opens fire. So only 1% of people surrender there,
Okay.
right?
Yeah,
if you
that
realize
makes
that,
sense.
right?
That
Because
absolutely makes sense.
everything else leads to Coast Guard opens fire.
Yeah, so, okay. So, this box is 1%.
The bottom one.
Right. So then this box is, I don't know,
The one
near
above
to
it.
8.
Yeah.
Dive is 8. And then these other ones are near to 8. Like, do the math. Does that add up to 29? Like,
To 20,
is
yeah.
dive actually not as low as it seems like it is because it's divisible by, it's 29 divided by 6.
Right.
I don't
Yeah,
know.
I don't either.
Well,
Coast
20,
Guard...
27 divided by 6, I guess. Well, no. 20,
What?
no.
I don't know what you're getting at.
You could divide that by 3.
I'm missing... Oh, yes, 27 is divisible by 3, yes. Yeah. Or 30, right? 1 point above 29.
Right.
So, you figure 9 3/4
Well, so
or whatever.
30 is divisible by 6. So that's 5.
Yeah.
All right.
But because one of them is 1, whatever. Anyway, so the Coast Guard opens fire 28% of the time. Luther dies 16% of the time. But considering that the Coast Guard opening fire is so low, Luther dying is pretty close to that.
Yeah.
Right? It's only 12 points different.
Yeah.
Still almost double, I guess. 40% cast Luther away, 20% dispose of the supplies, 13% row, 28% dispose of the engine and have the boat lightened and dive in the water, and then only 1% don't reach Canada, it seems.
Okay.
Because
Wow.
27% reach Canada on the boat, and 8%
Oh my god.
have Kara and Alice survive, although that could mean that like these others are Kara, Alice, and Luther survive,
Oh, okay.
or because this option is here, maybe this is the better one.
Right.
Find a new way to the border, and so Kara and Alice survive by like making it to the border up here. I don't know.
Right.
But because this is one of the outcomes, and again,
Wow.
maybe it's Kara, Luther, and Alice survive as one of these
Maybe
bottom two.
they die in the snow and that's the end.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Wow.
That is crazy.
This game, man.
Crazy. Okay, and so then there was this, and then we go back to Battle for Detroit, Marcus Revolution. Okay, so this is what it would have been if you didn't march.
Yeah.
This is the revolution, which is 0% completed because we didn't do this. And then we're back to Marcus Demonstration, which is what we did decide to do. And so, yeah, I mean, hey, man, we don't have to look at charts
Wow.
anymore, but
I
let's
can't even.
let's chat a little bit. One of the main questions I wanted to ask is Marcus, Kara, Connor.
Yeah.
Those were the 3 characters that you played as in this game.
Yeah.
Did you have...
And they're so different from one another.
yeah. I will
And
say...
they all had such important roles
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah, big time. Yeah. Did you have... Because I feel like I know the answer to this, but I'm ready to be surprised. Did you have a favorite of those 3 characters that you feel the most connected to, even? If those are the same question.
I guess Marcus.
Marcus. Interesting. Okay. I would not have guessed Marcus.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Interesting. Okay. That's fair enough. I would have thought you would have said Kara because of the mothering aspect of her.
Yeah.
And how much you cared about Alice and keeping Alice safe, and how much Kara cared about Alice and
Alice
keeping
was
Alice
my
safe.
favorite character.
Overall.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Alice was my favorite character, but out of the 3, which doesn't count Alice.
Sure.
Marcus is the one that is more compelling of a character than Kara or Connor.
Okay. Interesting. I loved Connor.
Really?
Love Connor. Holy shit, I love him.
Really?
I just love him. From the I don't know what it is. I think the actor's name is Brian Deckert. I mean, amazing job.
Yeah.
To be fair, every single one of these
Yeah.
actors, amazing job. But yeah, I love Connor.
And
man.
the art, I mean, how amazing is this art? I mean, when we first saw Marcus, I was like, oh my God. I know exactly what actor that is.
Yep.
Because they did such an amazing job with this art.
Yeah.
And when we ever saw that YouTube video with the guy who plays Connor,
Brian
I was
Deckard.
like, it's fucking Connor! Oh my God!
And I'll say, I don't think we talked about it. I was not convinced. I was like,
You
I
weren't.
don't know.
And I was like, how can you possibly say that? He looks exactly like him. He talks exactly like him. That's Connor.
Yeah. And so I looked it up just to double check. I looked it up and I was
And
like,
it was.
I was like, holy shit, you're right. I was like, he's a YouTuber now.
I was like, I would recognize that voice no matter what. That's something that, yeah, I mean, his voice is just so
Unique.
Yeah, it's just so like
If I
easy to tell it's him.
It's so interesting to me because truly, like, I can imagine that if I ever got the chance to meet that guy, I would like shut down mentally. I'd just be like, you know, I don't know. I do not believe I'm starstruck often. Like, I've met famous people before.
Yeah.
And I don't consider myself to be starstruck like that or dumbfounded.
Right.
Like, I usually talk to them about something that I want to talk to them about. Like, I'm like, hey, you know, and this is not me meeting them on the street, by the way. This is like at events where it's like meet and greets or whatever.
Where it's accepted for you to approach them.
Right.
Take up some of their time and whatever.
Because most of the time I'm paying for the privilege. And so that's fine. But yeah, like, I just, oh my God, I love Connor so much. And then the fact that I would argue, I'm trying to think. I think I would argue that Clancy Jones is probably the most famous person in this game.
Yeah. Sure.
And I would say out of the 3 characters, Connor's my favorite. Out of all the characters, Hank's my favorite.
Yeah.
Big time Hank's my favorite. And again, Hank is not that lovable of a character the whole time.
No.
But you understand his motivations.
Right.
You get to a degree where he's coming from. He is that classic anti-hero archetype of, I mean, Hank is a shithead. Like, he is an ornery asshole.
That goes rogue. I mean, we've seen it so many fucking times.
Yeah. But he's an ornery asshole who you love to be pissed off about.
Right.
Like, and so I love him. I love them. I love him. I loved his relationship with Connor, or more, I loved Connor's relationship with Hank.
Yeah.
Right? Because Hank just, like, grows to appreciate Connor, but Connor, like, trying to navigate Hank as a person, that shit's great.
Yeah, and that would be hard for a human to do. But it's harder for an android because Hank goes in hating androids, and because an android is only programmed to think a certain way and do certain things, right? And so they're much more limited when they're not deviants. They're much more limited as to the choices that they would have or the decisions that they would make. And we only got in Hank's good graces when we did deviant-y things.
Yeah.
So when we became human, more and more and more and more and more, he respected us more and more and more and more.
Sure. Well, and look at what he said at the end. When we saved him from New Connor, he killed New Connor. He said, you know, go ahead, do what you were doing. You may be the ones to change this world for the better. Because, you know, he's a cop, right? So he's supposed to not allow us to do these things.
Right.
But at the same time, he's like, you know, what do I know?
Right.
And so...
Well, yeah, and I think he started to really learn that when Connor didn't shoot the android women who were leaving the club.
Oh, the lovers, the gotcha.
So when Connor didn't shoot them, and Hank talked to him about that,
and asked him why.
Yeah, and I think Hank. We learned prior to Hank asking us about that Hank really liked that we didn't shoot those androids.
Correct.
Even though
we should have.
Right, even though
based
normally...
on our job. Based on our job.
Yeah, normally he would have been like, they're getting away, you know?
Yeah. Well, and Hank mentioned to Connor in that conversation, like, they just wanted to be together.
Right.
You know, like any other story that you've ever heard in this world of, like, you know.
And they wanted to be safe together.
Yeah.
And there they weren't.
No. Right.
So they wanted to escape.
Yeah.
Be safe and be with each other.
Yeah. I you know, it's funny. I was thinking to myself, like, what about Connor do I love so much? Because you seemed very surprised by the fact that I loved him so much. I think it's got to be, I mean, obviously it's the personality. Like, why else would you love someone? But But I loved the fact that when you first see him and when he's mostly there at the beginning, he is purely analytical.
Yeah.
That's his job.
Right.
And then as soon as he
he's a
starts...
computer.
Yes. And as soon as he starts to learn who Hank is, he starts getting sarcastic.
Right.
And so it was like, could you be me more? Like, I don't... Analytical and sarcastic? That's like 90% of me. So, yeah, I really... Thank you. I appreciated the fact that he was able to be so intelligent and so good at his job and so good at what he was made for, and yet able to understand who this detective was and who he had to be to interact with this detective.
Right.
He was not going to walk up to Hank and be like, well, this deviant displayed temperatures of, 84.2 degrees, but then when I asked him that question, his temperature raised to 86.5 degrees. And that degree of variance between those two temperatures is not typical for an android unless it's one who is whatever, like
right.
lying or something. Like that kind of thing is a robot, right? Just absolutely analytical purely. But the fact that Connor's got to be like, oh, looks like you've had a nice morning, Lieutenant, and it's absolutely not at all what's happened for him. So, like, that shit, I love that.
Right.
I love that. Where Connor's able to look at Hank and be like, oh, okay, I got to deal with this guy. All right, fine. I'll do what I got to do, I'll be what I have to be. So,
and Connor's one of those that, a lot of the other deviants in this game sort of became a deviant on the spot.
Right.
It sort of went from day to night,
mm-hmm.
For them, or night to day,
right.
Whichever way
Sure.
you want to say it. But Connor was the character who took the longest to get to that point. And I think we really saw those intervals.
Yeah. And it's
in a nice way.
Right. And don't forget, the game reason for it is because he was the more advanced model.
Yeah.
So presumably they had taken out some of the issues that would have led to the deviancy being that
easy to
that
happen.
much of a snap thing.
But I kind of chalk it up to the fact that he was constantly checking for deviancy.
Sure.
And we were constantly seeing
software instability.
Right.
Yeah.
And but like you said, those little modifications where he kind of adapted to the situation that he was in, to me means deviant, and perhaps to you just means advanced model, but with him, we got to see that nuance.
Yeah.
In a way that we didn't get to with the other characters. Because Marcus, it was like, okay, you're plopped into this terrible situation all of a sudden, and now the authorities come and throw you in a trash heap. And now you gotta learn how to, even though you're broken like crazy, you gotta find a way to escape and be okay now.
Yeah.
So...
But he did become a deviant before getting thrown into the trash. Because he was a deviant when the sun was around, when the sun showed up. It's just that
because
you
he
chose...
was trying to protect Carl.
Correct. You just chose not to hurt the sun because you don't want to hurt any human, and because Carl was ordering you not to.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, and so the thing was, he was plopped into this terrible situation with the sun.
Sure.
And so, again, it's a night and day sort of non-deviant to deviant thing right away. And with Jericho members, we didn't get to see any of them turn.
Right. We heard some stories. They
already were deviants by the time we met them.
Yeah.
And then anyone that we converted, it was night and day.
Yeah, of course.
And with Kara, again, plopped into a terrible situation that she had to find a way out of. And there was no time to fuck around.
Sure.
The choice was, I will do what I'm programmed to do or not.
Yeah.
You know, and it was black and white like that.
Yep.
So Connor was really cool in that we got to see the nuance of the tiny incremental changes to the personality and the just like an adaptation that made it more human.
Yeah.
That was much more gradual for him than it was for anyone else in this entire game.
Yeah. I feel like this episode, above any of the other ones that we've done, could have been a podcast, which maybe people would have been more willing to sit through 2 hours of. But if you...
Well, hopefully this game was good enough where people actually wanted to sit through this episode because it made enough of an impact on them.
Correct. I hope that's true as well. And I hope that if you have gotten this far through, shout yourself out in the comments because you deserve it. But let us know how much of this series you watched. Like, I'm so curious when people watch our stuff if they've played the game before, and especially with this type of a game, if you've played the game before, what new things did you see?
Yeah.
And did you prefer what we did or what you did?
Yeah.
You know, the outcome that we got or the outcome that you got.
Yeah, we want to know the percentages on the flowchart of the viewers of these videos.
Yeah. But also, I mean, I feel like I want there to be a more impactful thing talking about, like, overall just how incredible we thought this game was.
I mean, it's hard.
But
again,
it's not...
It's so impactful. It's so good.
Yeah.
That it's hard to vocalize that.
Yeah. I just keep changing
I have a
this.
question for you.
Okay, go ahead.
You were really happy that I picked Sing, really impressed that I picked Sing.
It was just,
you
I
loved
told you,
how it turned out.
It was my favorite moment in the entire game.
What would you have picked?
I told you. I think Sing would have either been the choice or Kiss North.
Right.
For the entire idea of the concept of humanity.
Yeah.
Like
you did tell me that.
Well, I mentioned that would have been my only other choice, but I didn't say that I would have picked it or whatever.
Right. Okay.
But, you know, there were so many times where the game offered for you to sacrifice yourself.
Yeah.
As Marcus and as Connor a couple of times as well. I don't believe Kara, but except for technically jumping in the water and pushing. But
right.
But just the idea that, like, there are so many moments where you could have sacrificed yourself, and there may have been people who were like, you know what, now is the time.
Right.
Now is the time where I have to sacrifice myself.
And I did, as Marcus, sacrifice myself. I picked that as an answer for one of them.
Yeah, and then that
John
android stepped in to save you.
Right.
And he died instead. Which was from where you got him on that mission where you killed that human.
Right.
Which was, again, like you said, kind of the thing that set a lot of what the rest of this game was in motion, because you felt so badly about that you were like, no, I'm not going to kill anybody anymore.
Right.
And think about that. That could absolutely be a thing that occurs for people.
Right.
Like, feeling like you're trapped in a situation where you have to end this person's life because they are preventing you from doing the thing that you need to do to save your people or whatever the case may be for that particular situation. And then you do it and you're like, no, that felt awful.
Right. We're not doing that again.
Never again. So my point
think about if we hadn't done that, maybe we wouldn't have ended up with John. And maybe when I picked sacrifice myself in that moment, I would have actually died.
Yep.
Because there would have been no one to sacrifice themselves for me.
Yep. Yeah. So
it's just stuff like this really makes you think.
Yeah, it's crazy.
About, like, reality and the choices that you make and where that fucking takes you. Because this flowchart, you know, shows this, but think about that one with Kara where we could have
been captured
or gone to the checkpoint.
Yeah.
all of those little choices, like, I mean, for that particular flowchart, it ended up in the same place.
Yeah.
But, I mean, just think about what I just said about the John thing. Like, how different would this game have been if when I said sacrifice myself because there's no other choice, I actually died?
Yeah.
Like, that would have drastically changed everything.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
so, yeah.
I'm actually curious while we're talking about this. I want to see if I can get to, and this may be a little weird going into our PlayStation section here, but I want to see if I can get to our trophies for Detroit Become Human. We unlocked 52% of the trophies.
That's it?
Yeah,
Wow.
well, there's probably like challenges of like, you know,
Oh.
have all your characters die early, or you know, like things like that or whatever.
No.
We got thank you, play the first chapter. Connor saved Emma. I don't even know who Emma is. Who's
Don't
Emma?
either.
Okay. Kara discovered the content of Alice's box. Okay, in her
Yeah.
bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
Connor found the deviant in the attic. Kara and Alice escaped Todd's house. We don't know what this is. Marcus let Leo win. Okay.
What?
Self-control. Leo's the son. So we didn't fight back against Leo.
Oh, okay, all right.
Connor made the android confess, so we got a confession out of that one android. Kara and Alice slept in the motel or the squat for shelter. So you actually got shelter. Know your partner. Connor found all the clues about Hank. Nice. Awesome. Run, Kara, run. Kara and Alice escaped the police. I guess that was across the highway.
Yeah.
The like multi-lane highway. There was a hidden trophy there that's rare for people to get. Save Hank. Connor saved Hank. That one's rare. 48.3% of players get that. Escape the Manor. Kara and Alice escaped Zlotko's house. 62.8%. There was a hidden trophy that we didn't get. The Tracis escaped for doubts. Oh, I guess we, because that's Connor. We could have killed somebody and we didn't.
Oh.
Jericho's hero. Marcus got enough
The
parts.
Tracy's.
The Tracy's escaped. Thank you.
Yeah,
from
the
the
two
Eden
girls.
Club. Yes,
Yeah,
good point.
they were both Tracy.
We missed the very rare hidden trophy here. A smile on her face.
They weren't both Tracy's.
They weren't both the same model, but maybe they were both named Tracy.
Okay.
Alice enjoyed a ride on the merry-go-round. Adorable. Hidden trophy. 12.2% and 22.3%. We didn't get those. Marcus conducted a pacifist riot. Very nice. Hidden trophy. Very rare. 13.3%. Kara succeeded to make the cop go away. Nothing to see here. That was in Rose's house. We got a hidden trophy there. Marcus stood his ground against the police. 27.7%. Hidden trophy there. Connor refused to kill the Chloe, which was in the guy's house.
Right. That's common.
Yeah,
Makes
well,
sense.
yeah. Connor got the location of Jericho by himself. Bring the 3 characters to Crossroads.
Okay.
Still, only 50% of players get that. But that may also be that people stop playing by that point, as opposed to like their characters dying, you know what I
yeah.
mean? Because it's the game itself. Marcus or Connor detonated the freighter. Oh, so Connor could have made that decision as well.
Oh.
Interesting. Okay.
Very interesting.
19.1% for a hidden trophy that we didn't get. Moral victory. Marcus succeeded in making the soldiers stand back. Only 24% of people get that.
Wow.
So nicely done. Hidden. An army of me. Connor converted the androids. 36%. Very rare. Or rare, excuse me.
I don't think we've gotten any very rares.
I don't think so, no.
Gotten mostly rare.
Connor resisted the hacking attempt from CyberLife, which is rare, 31.9%,
Okay.
which we got. Connor became a deviant, 45.5%, rare, I guess. Undefeated, don't lose any fight before reaching the end,
Wow.
40.6%. Ultra rare, 1.8% of people. Oh, it's probably don't miss any button pushes for the whole game, is my assumption. I don't know, but... Partners, Hank and Connor were friends until the end, 33.3%. Hidden trophy, 19.4%. Ultra rare, 1.8% again. This Is My Story finished the game once, 48.2% of people. A very rare and a very rare. So there you go. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Very, very cool. Okay. Well, let me... Okay, good. Let's bring us back here. So, yeah. We could talk about this game forever. What I'll say is, if you want to talk more, come join us on stream. I'm sure we will gush about this as much as people want.
I want to know if anyone knows anything about that song that we sung. Is it? It may have actually been a song that was written by slaves.
Sure. I wouldn't put it past them to
that
do
would be fascinating, amazing information if you guys would leave that for us.
Yeah. And let us know if, because this is the kind of thing that I'm always fascinated with these kinds of games, the more modern games that we play. Have you played this game? And if not, one, did you enjoy the series? And two, after watching us play it, are you more interested in trying to play this game? Like trying to go out and pick it up and play it? Because it was not expensive by my opinion, but your means may be different, and so please be aware of that before you don't think that I'm sitting here like, well, anybody could afford it. Be aware and go check those things out for yourself. If that's something that you're interested in. But I think we're just going to have to end it here. I think over 2 hours of analysis is enough. Oh, my goodness.
And I think people can form their own conclusions as well. And I would love to hear them in the comments.
Well, and like I said, keep the conversation going in the comments. And over on Geek for All, we stream. So come join us on our streams. We would love to continue the conversation with you there as well.
Yeah.
That's just, we can have
chat away.
Exactly. We can have those conversations as much or as little as people would like. So that is going to be the end of this particular episode. If for whatever reason you are not already subscribed and have that bell rung, please do so. You will find out whenever any of our videos come out, including whatever is in this slot next week. Because do I know what it is? Hell no. But at least not right now. Hopefully by the time this is out, I know what's coming out next week.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I have no idea. But thank you so much for watching. Yes. I really hope everybody enjoyed, again, anything.
Honestly, I don't know how you could not enjoy this game. It's so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's so detailed. It's so well thought out. It's so impactful emotionally, as well as just thoughtfully. It's just
gorgeous.
Yeah.
And
I just
great.
could gush over it forever.
Exactly. And that's why I said before, I want there to be some big impactful statement. And there isn't. We played this game the whole way through. That's the statement.
Right.
Watch it from start to finish. See how much we enjoyed it. See this over 2-hour analysis of the game at the end. And all the analyses that we did along the way of all the different flowcharts and stuff. So thank you for any and all of these that you joined us for. If you're watching at this point, give yourself a pat on the back. Thank you so much. And also, maybe go up and get yourself a drink of water, because it's been a long one. So thanks for sticking it out. We will be back next week with something else. Check out our other channels as well. Links down in the description box below. And for now, from us here at the Geek for All family of channels, I've been Joe.
And I'm Amy.
I don't know how we're topping this one, but we're going to try to find out.
Well, this channel's over.
Yeah, we did it. We beat video games. And as we always say, in whichever video of ours you watch next, we will see you all next time. Thanks so much, everybody.